Yes. It's your boy G Budden on the G Budden podcast, the G Budden show. And today we got Jaystar. So there's some things I have to share with y'all, but I would probably do that for Christmas Day. Yeah, there's some new things for the G Budden brand, the G Budden franchise. So, but we'll leave that for Christmas time. Right, so we got Jaystar today. As we wait for him to go in. How we all doing? Good day to everyone. It's your boy G Budden, the live podcast show. Okay. So it seems like I have to go and look for this guy. Okay. Alright. Alright. Okay. Some reason sometimes I don't know what does be going on their side. Sometimes there is setbacks and stuff like that. So I'm waiting for his response. Let me check everything. Volume is up. Everything in check. So Mr. Speed 5878. Good day to you, sir. Right, so I'm waiting for Mr. Jaystar. And here he is. Here he is.
How you doing, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, man. It's good to see you, man. Nice to finally get a chance to chop it up with you. Thanks for having me on.
Ah, it's an honor. It's an honor. So how is things over on that side? Which
Oh
part
man.
of which part are you
Well,
located
I
in
am
now?
I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the south of the lower 48 of the United States.
All right,
And
all right.
and as you know, we just had an election, presidential election, and we still have a little bit of upheaval with that. And we're also dealing with the epidemic COVID-19, which is pretty much hit worldwide. So we're still dealing with that down here, not as bad as it was at the beginning of the year here in New Orleans, thankfully. But as a country, we're still dealing and reeling with that. So, and obviously, we have an extreme epidemic of police killing unarmed black people. That's something that's been continuously going on here.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, it's pretty a lot of upheaval. But as far as me and my family and my lovely wife and my newborn kids, we're doing good.
That's good to hear that you doing okay. And because I have been seeing videos of police brutality and stuff towards the black community and stuff like that. I've seen, I've heard things.
Yeah,
I never really touched on that topic as yet because that topic is a very broad spectrum of things and stuff like that. So I've never really gone into that because that it could be one-sided and it could lead into other things and stuff like that because
yeah,
there's a lot of racist people out there, and sometimes your opinion don't always be their opinion and stuff like that.
yeah.
So You know, I've never touched on that topic, but I am watching.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am watching and stuff like that.
Yeah, there is a movement amongst us here in the us foundational Black Americans here in the United States to do what we can to fight against that. It's time for us to find another way besides protesting. And I'm not saying we need to become violent. That's not what anyone's saying. But we need to get focused on economics because that's where the root of racism is all about economics. It's not about bigotry and I don't like your color. Me personally, I don't care if someone doesn't like me because I'm black, but I do care that they can harm me because I'm poor, or my people are poor, or my family was poor. And that's what we're seeing. You see it play out in these police murders when the state and local and federal government they don't render justice to the victims or their families because they don't really care, and we're small fries to them. But if we have an economic voice and we speak with an ideology and an agenda and an economy, we can turn this around and we can make our voice undeniable. And right now, we're just not there. And as a people, we'll get there. We just have to continue to fight.
You see, well, I'm seeing it I mean, yes, most people might say, ah, you're from the Caribbean, you're in the Caribbean, and you don't
Yeah.
understand and stuff like that. Yes, I do understand because we may not be going through that kind of diverse racism
Yes.
as the African American, but we are. The difference between African Americans and Caribbean Africans is that they would not come around us with violence. They would not. They would not dare come around us with violence because they know we are more aggressive than they are, right? But
I don't. I
we
don't
have
necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that. Let's put it this way: the white supremacists will do anything to win. That's their goal. They don't care if you are an American, a Black American, or you're a Caribbean or African, or you're in the UK. Their main goal is to dominate, and they'll try cunning, they'll try manipulating, they'll try lying, and then if none of those things work, they'll resort to violence to get their means. What what we have to do as a general Black community, all of us together, is we have to be on code. And I look at us here in America. I hate to say it, but I'm in the big house. You know, I'm in the big house, and the folks that are out in Africa and other places, out in um, they're not in the big house with us. So we're with the master, and we see how evil and conniving he can be. Um, what we have to do is stay on code. And that's why I was so anxious to get a chance to chop it up with you today, is because I want to build with, my Caribbean brothers, my brothers that are in Canada and Africa and in the UK, because we have to start on a street level. We have to start on a basic deck plate level. We have to start chopping it up with each other and building and formulating those relationships and start building that into an economic relationships where we can forward our ideology and our agenda. And I'm thankful that you allowed me on your podcast today because I really enjoy watching your stuff and I think that and I've got nothing but love. I'm a merchant mariner in my day job, and I sell a lot in the Caribbean. And every island I've ever visited, either by work or on vacation, I've got nothing but great love from those folks down there. The cultures are beautiful, and there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of promise if we can only come together. And I know that's cliche as come together, but if we can only get on code and think beyond petty differences and bickering and things like that, and build as a group instead of letting white corporations come to the Caribbeans and build hotels and take all the money. You know, we could it could be so much. It would be so much of a better situation than it is right now. That's what I'm trying to say.
true, true. But I mean, yeah, that would be my opinion, that would be your opinion. But when it comes to those guys on the top, they don't see these opinion as anything because they think with their pockets, right?
Yeah,
They,
we have the same problem here with our government leaders here. You know, they're quote unquote educated and they're quote unquote have positions and titles, but they think as far as the little white supremacist on their shoulder allows them to think. I hate to say it that way, but that's true. They think for themselves, and they're not thinking for the group, and that's part of having an agenda and an ideology. And once we coalesce around that, where we have the same goals, we should be promoting our value system in the world. And right now, the value system that's being promoted is not ours. It's a European white supremacist agenda and ideology and value system. And the African value system, I'm talking about all of us. We're a very loving people. Uh, we have to forward that. You know, we have to forward that agenda.
hmm, I mean, it's sad, well, it's sad to hear all these things, but I mean, we have to find some kind of some way, I don't know. s- We have to find some kind of way to we have to find some kind of way to move away from all this, and
Yeah.
it all stem down to economics, right?
Yes,
Now
yes,
now
economics. You're right. Because I mean, they can hate us because we're black. They can hate us because we're from the Caribbean. They can hate us when we're Africa. They can hate us when we're UK. But they can oppress us because we are poor. And that's what we
because
are. That's what we found out. That's what we are, especially foundational Black Americans here in the United States. That's what we're finding out. You know, that is the remedy. Whenever you affect their money, as far as what the dominant society, you're able to invoke change. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to love you for that. They're not going to praise you. They might even hate you even more. But I don't. If they can't harm our kids like they did Trayvon Martin and
yeah,
Michael Brown, you
yeah,
know, that's the end goal for us, and that's what we have to look forward to. We have to get over the desire to be loved and get and accept the reality that we need to be respected and somewhat feared a little bit if that needs to be the case.
you see, the whole problem is that um, from how I seen it, because I'm a guy like this. I tend to sit back and watch.
Yeah,
Yeah. I tend to sit back and watch and observe and stuff like that. And you see, yes, we're talking about economics, we're talking about boycotts and all this stuff like that. But
yeah,
when we use the term boycott, and some people with it, but some are not with it, then
yes,
we're not going to go nowhere because, okay, like for instance, right, Starbucks, they don't
yeah,
support, they don't support the Black Lives Matter, right? They
yeah,
don't support. But then when I'm seeing black people go into Starbucks and buy things, right? I mean, it hurt me. I'm going to be real with you. It hurts because
yeah,
a brand that is saying, we do not care about this Black Lives Matter, meaning that you do not care about black people, right? That is
yeah,
what you're telling me. And
yeah,
then you seeing people on Instagram, on Facebook talking about, we're going to Starbucks. And what you're really doing? What are y'all really doing? Because some people, too much of segregation, I should say, right? Because some people standing for one thing, the others just don't care, right?
yeah. We got that. We have that problem, and
You
it's permeated. It's deep within the Black community. It's called self-hate,
know?
um, and and here's the crux. We're not going to be able. Here's the it's the harsh reality. That we're not going to be able to save everybody. There are going to be some that are actively fighting against um, anyone who wants to empower or progress the Black community. And that's why I wanted to. That's why I have um, taken the time to start my own publishing company. And um, the way the way forward for us is to be able to forward our agenda without having to go through the filter of the white media.
Correct.
Um, and
Correct.
we have to be able to talk blankly and plainly with our people and with the world for that fact and that matter.
Correct.
And
Correct. Um,
we can't do you can't spread those messages to kind of to we especially us here in America, Foundation of Black Americans, we do suffer from a bit of PTSD from slavery, and it's been passed down from generation to generation. Where the white man's ice is always colder. That's why you see people going to Starbucks. That's why you see people, they go to nail salons that are Asian run, and the women are getting beat up, and the black women will still go back there and patronize those businesses. And when there's a black nail salon or there's a black quote unquote Starbucks or coffee company, we tend to treat them roughly or have unrealistic expectations and things of those matters. Those are things that could be addressed if we all get on the same agenda. It doesn't have to be everybody. It's not going to be this huge big tent. But if enough of us are doing it and enough of us start it, and if it gains momentum, people are naturally followers. 95% of the people walking this earth are followers, and
correct.
they're going to follow something that is successful. They don't want to follow something that is not successful, and that's incumbent upon people like us, me, you, who want to be on the forefront, who want to lead. It's incumbent upon us to put some wins on the board, and once we do that, people are going to follow slowly but surely. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be this great epiphany, but it's going to start. We have to start building.
True. 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 But sometimes we tend to be hard-headed, man. We seeing things that could be good for us, but we still don't wanna we still don't wanna follow through to that. We still wanna be that follower on the wrong path, right?
Yeah,
Because look for instance this thing here what I'm doing, right? Um, Plenty people may not understand it, right? But
yeah,
this whole thing here is the no. I'm not trying to be racial in any form, right? Because I do have different people from different ethnic groups and whatnot on my podcast. But the whole ideology about it is to more push the black community, right, in the forefront. So even if I am interviewing somebody from the Asian culture, from the white culture, or whatever, but the majority have to be from my culture, right?
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? Because that is what I'm trying to build. Yes, I'm trying to build a platform where it's non-biased and non-racial, right? I am not a racist. I don't believe in racism and all this stuff. And yes, it's happening, but I don't embrace that because I see people as people, right? I don't see this race or that. I see people as people. When I look at someone, I see a living soul. I see a person. I don't see if that person is white or black or whatever, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
don't,
a that's
I
a
don't,
that's very idealistic. That's how we are as black people are built. But the reality is this: we live in a world that's controlled by white supremacy, and they see race, and as much as they try not to admit it, that's what our whole social structure is built upon. And as black people, we have to be completely honest about that and about that reality. And our goal should be to replace that system, God willing, to replace that system with a system of justice for universal man and universal woman. Because God didn't create us to have this racial hierarchy. That's not natural. And it's implemented and it's in control of the society worldwide. And we can't wish it. We can't be in the business of wishing it away because that's why we're the poorest people in the world, quite honestly.
Hmm.
Because if we want to stay in denial, we're not gonna. It's gonna get worse. We have to be realistic and sober-minded about the challenges we face, and we have to start building. And that's what we gotta grab the shovels and get to work. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be, a music video. It's not going to be like they show on TV. It's going to be hard work, especially for our generation. We're going to be the ones who are digging the foundation for the skyscraper of Black empowerment to be built. And we'll never see the fruits of our labor, and we have to accept that. But we have to understand that we're building it for our great grandchildren. I have a young 1 year old. He's actually going to be one here on the 21st of December.
Okay.
I'm building for him. It's not for me. I'm not trying to have a Cadillac with rims and spinners and live like outside of my means and floss and do all those things. That's not my journey, and it may not even be his.
Hmm.
But what we have to do is we have to be sober-minded and build, because the white supremacists, let's be honest, they built. They in the early 1500s they started building. They came to America and they started building, and promoting their ideology for better or for worse. And we see the worst consequences of it. But for them, it's better right now because they control the world. But there were people, their ancestors built. That's why they revere them. You go, especially here in America. I know not so much in the Caribbean, but definitely here in America, you go to Yorktown, or you go to D.C. or places like that, Boston. They have monuments to their icons. They revere these people, but they were all, white supremacists, and they built the foundation for the society that we have today.
As you speak about monument, I think it's this year that there was a issue with a monument right here in this country concerning Christopher Columbus.
Oh yeah, that guy.
People, because they had a monument in the capital of the country, and some of the people wanted it moved because of all the things that was going on in America, because with the Trevor Martins and the Breonna Taylor and the late George Floyd and all this stuff like that, and
Yeah,
many other hundreds of people that went through this police brutality and stuff, all this white supremacist stuff. And some of these people were so angry at the time that
yeah,
they was like, this monument don't represent nothing about black people, right? He is Christopher Columbus. He is from Spain or whatever the hell. And
yeah,
that monument is all about discoveries and discovered the islands and stuff. But the in history, right? He did not discover anything.
yeah. Of course.
He did not, because
No.
we all know that there were tribes living in these islands long before the Spain even discovered and all this stuff. All Jamaica and all these places. We know that the
Yes.
Maroons, which were black people, were
Yes.
already inhabiting these places. But in history, they said that Europe and Spain discovered the Caribbean and all the islands and all this stuff like that, which is lies. So there was a big uproar about this monument. They tell them to move it from the city, right? We don't
Yeah.
want that monument of Christopher Columbus in the city. because that is giving a false image on the country and what the country embraces as history, right?
Yes, I'm glad they're actually doing that because monuments, especially we've had. I think I don't know if you followed it here pretty closely here in America, but there was a huge. It's been for the last 5 years or so. A huge scuffle about monuments here in America to the Confederacy and things like that. What? And I do care about those because they're all still they're symbolic in nature, but what they do represent is something I talked about a little earlier in the broadcast when we started was the promotion of your value system. That's what when you see those monuments to folks who are absolutely unequivocally white supremacists
Hmm.
and were absolutely dangerous and genocidal towards black people and African people. Those are an endorsement and a promotion of a value system that is completely anti-black. And to get rid of those, that's why they fight tooth and nail to try to keep them because they understand they try to dress it up as culture and history. But we don't make monuments to Al Qaeda. That's part of history. We don't make monuments to Adolf Hitler. Those things are put in museums, and that's where they need to be, not out in public to be revered. You know, those are the type of, that's why we need to, our fundamental, for our generation, brother, it's going to be to lay the foundation, to grab the shovels and start digging and lay the foundation to replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice for universal man and universal woman.
Hmm.
We have to start doing that.
It's a good initiative, but as if
Yeah,
I,
I'm not saying it's easy. I mean, it's just words coming out of my mouth.
yeah, I
But
know.
when you get to the doing part, that's when it gets hard. Yeah,
I,
everyone can talk about doing it, but when you get to the doing part, that's when it comes hard. And as for me personally, like I mentioned, I started my own publishing company. Spirit of 1811 publishing.com. When I started that company, this is all my money. I work hard for every dollar I earn.
hmm,
And for me to publish a book and do the advertising and marketing, and have to make the dollar decision making, pull those levers, that's the doing part. When you get down to it, a lot of us can talk, but some of us do. And the doers have to get together. That's why I want to be here with you. Let's get together, the people who do, who are about
yeah,
business,
well,
who are
well,
about making things happen.
I'm all about that because that's what that is who I interview. I don't interview. I interview doers, right?
Yes,
I interview people who in the action. You won't see me interviewing somebody just talking loosely, because I'm all for knowledge, right? I'm all
yes,
for knowledge. So if you're a person and you can kick some knowledge my way, I'm looking to hear what you have to say. You understand?
absolutely.
If we can come together and you have an opinion, I have an opinion, and we could come together and we could talk and it could create a solution or something, I'm with that, right? I'm all for doers. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not in the idle space, people who
Yeah.
just no, I'm not
Run
in
their
that.
run their mouth.
I'm
Yeah. We got a lot of that here. We got a lot of that here in the States as well.
yeah. Well,
And everywhere else too. But
the
we
idle
have
mouth
to.
the
Yeah.
idle
Yeah.
mouth is global. It's global. It's
Yeah.
global.
Yeah,
You know?
man. And people look at the doers. People look at the doers kind of funny, and they're
Yeah,
ready to ridicule, and
yeah.
it's hard. It's really hard.
No?
Because we can all sit around and philosophize all we want, but when it comes time to spending money, when it comes to actually doing, actually meaning what you say and doing and putting it in action, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where we have fallen short because I look at our opponents, the people who want to oppress us, the people who
They
want
are
to deprive
doers.
us economically. They're
They are
about
doers.
doing. They're
Yeah,
about doing. So
yeah.
when Trayvon Martin, when it's time to deny him justice, they're about doing that. They do it, and they know they're going to get ridicule. People are going to be looking at them sideways, like, wait a minute, this was a kid who got shot. Yeah, he's obviously screaming on the video. You know, they're going to deny all the evidence and they're going to make up all the lies. They're going to be about doing that work. And we have to be just as filled with faith as they are. You know, we got to execute our faith. You know, God bless. We got to execute our faith and have the faith that the Lord is going to guide us to victory. And that's where we've fallen short. We'll go to church, we'll say these things, but when it comes to actually time to do it, it's not there. You know, that's all talk.
I
You know, we
can
got to
tell
be
you,
about that business.
I can tell you that. I mean, sometimes doing will take some time, right? But
It takes guts.
the
That's what it
fact,
takes. It takes
fact
time. It takes guts.
the fact that you're doing it, even though it might take you a while, that's the part that you have to consider. And I mean, I've been around and I mean, certain things I've seen happening in the system, you know, worldwide, not just in the Caribbean, but worldwide, right? And
Yeah.
and there's some people that they have all these ideas, right? They have all these ideas of, you know, this and that and stuff like that. And I always,
When you meet people like that, man, brother, just ask them this. If you got all these ideas, you know, all these things that are really cutting around the edge of what needs to be done, just ask them, okay, now I agree with everything you just said. What are we going to do? And see what they do. And if they're not about that business, then you got to move on. Because I
yeah,
mean, there's other people. There's other people who are in line because we're like we started off talking about economics. That's where that's my crucible right there. If I'll agree or ignore anything else that you're talking about. If you want to go down all kinds of religious paths, or you want to talk about what we call each other, or whatever it may be, whether you're from the Caribbean or you're from the United States or you're from the UK, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what are we gonna do economically? And if they start hemming and hawing, then that lets me know that they're not serious. Because money is what is at the root. That's why slavery. That's why they brought us over here. That's why they brought our ancestors over here for free labor. Racism is all about money. It's all about money. It's all about economics. It's all about resources,
you
and
know
that's
that
what we need to get.
that's the same thing. I was having a discussion with someone, and I was telling them, plenty people know, yes, slavery. Yes, our ancestors were enslaved,
Yeah,
but you have to look at the economic side of slavery,
hmm,
right? Slavery didn't happen because they just didn't like black people and all this
yeah,
stuff. It was an economical thing. If you, I mean, come on, even now, right? If you can get free labor, wouldn't you take it?
yes,
And you have a business,
yes,
and you knowing that when the month ends, you have to pay nobody, right? You reaping all the profits and free labor.
yes,
You would do it. Anybody would
yes,
do that, and that's what slavery was, and that's
yes,
what some of the system they have in place now is.
yes.
It's all about economics, a higher form of slavery. Economics. We can physically enslave them, but we can do it systemically through economics, and that's what's happening. So here what? We're gonna enslave them through economy, right? By
Yeah,
making everything that a black man try to do to prosper, by killing it. So you know what? If a black man comes with an idea, right? And he is the only person with that idea, and he is the only person that wants to execute that idea. And they sit down and think that that idea that he has, much millions and billions of dollars he can make. Do you know where that man can reach in the next 5 years? If he can execute this idea, then what you think they would do? The whole game is to kill your idea.
yeah,
Kill your idea, then 5 years later they come back with your idea. I was reading a thing in, I think it was somewhere, I don't know if it, I got an article, right, about this black guy from Africa. He came up with the idea of, I think it's conserving water or some kind of stuff like that. Some idea he came up with. He was a university grad and stuff, and he came up with this idea of water conservation and all them stuff. And they killed him, right?
Yeah.
They threw him off the I think it was a 16-story building. They threw him off. He died. 5 years later, the idea that he had, they came with that same idea, a company, right? So meaning that black people are the creators of everything. Black people are the mind behind everything, right? If you
Yeah.
look back in history, which white man that was any creator in terms of anything? Who created electricity, right?
Yeah.
Who created electricity? Black people are creators, and because they knowing that also, they will use system to keep you down, always keep you down. Therefore, you would be study, you would be so focused on the down that you're trying to get up, that you would not be focused on creating. And that is what I see happening, because I know black people as creators. I mean, come on. You put a black man in the army, he gonna be the one standing out. You put him on the racetrack, he gonna be the one standing out. You put a black man anywhere, they're gonna be the ones standing out.
And that's why we need to have an agenda, is because we are an exceptional people. But right now, like I said before, PTSD and our mindset right now is we've been brutalized from slavery. We're not focused on what we need to do, which is build. They've denied us the whole name of the game is to deny us resources. Because once you have resources, you're able to sustain and you're able to sustain yourself. Then you become a threat. Then you can say the word that we have been anxious about using in our dialogue with other groups, not just white folks, but with other groups, is the word no. And black people are petrified to use that word because we want to be liked. After all of the propaganda of white supremacy and slavery, all the memes, all of the pickaninny pictures, all of the watermelon eaters, all of the African booty scratchers, all of the demeaning terms and words that they use to describe us, and phrases and pictures, we psychologically want to be accepted, and we don't want to use the word no. Because once we understand, once we tell someone no, then the fake smiles go away, the fake compliments go away, and it becomes a real conversation. And then they're going to tell us what they feel about us, and we don't want to hear it. What we have to do is don't not care about it, and say,
But
well, you can call me all I'll be African booty snatcher, that's fine, but
yeah,
you're not going to shoot my son and think you're going to go and walk away from it and not go to jail. As a matter of fact, just because you're being obstinate, we're not going to do business with you. And let's see if you don't like having half a steak on your plate instead of a whole one. And we'll see how long you want to do that. We have to have some self-respect, in other words. And right now we don't have that. And that's why we were talking about, people not patronizing black businesses and things like that. We don't have any self-respect as a group. And that can only change when we have an ideology and an agenda and an economy to put those two things in action.
hmm, right. As Yaya was talking about, no, the not being able to say no. Um, I'm going to talk about a certain individual, because you said most of us don't want to say no, right? I'm sure you are familiar with Joe Budden, right? Right.
Yes.
Joe Budden has a podcast,
Yeah.
and he was fueled by Spotify, right?
Yeah, I think
Now,
I kind of heard that. I heard a little bit
you,
about that. He was
right.
because he's doing his own deal, and he actually,
Yes.
I think you might have to
No,
refresh me a little bit on it though.
no. Seeing that, you were speaking about the ability to say no when we have to say no. Now, he was a guy said no, right? And
Yeah.
I watched our own black brothers bash on Joe Budden, said all kind of things about Joe Budden because he decided he was not sucking up on the white guy because his content had value.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with a lot of us. We have content, it has value, but you know what? Sometimes the old folks taught us that half a loaf is better than none.
Yeah.
So you know what? If we get half the loaf, you see, so we are growing on so much things that this generation, I mean, besides from the white supremacy and stuff, we also confuse
Yeah.
because remember our ancestors were grown in the worst of worst conditions in their life under slavery. And because of that, right? Because of the minimal things they had, they were able to use what they had and
Yeah.
make it and be contented. And so they grew up under that contentment and they pass it on to us. So you're working,
Yeah.
you're getting all the BS from the boss,
Mhm.
which is a white man.
Yeah.
And you just take it because you keep hearing grandma or great grandmama saying in your head, half a loaf is better than one. Half a loaf is better than one.
Yeah, don't
Because
lose what you got. And and
don't
and,
lose.
and you're exactly right, man. Brother, you're on point. I would go a step further. It's not just contentment. It's we are afraid. We are afraid. And a part of that is PTSD from slavery. We are a group that is perpetually in fear. We're in fear of like you said, losing the half of not just losing the half a loaf or losing the crumbs from the half a loaf, but we are afraid that if it gets to the point where we actually have to be about our business, we don't want to have to do that. And I'm gonna go even deeper here. We idolize. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian man. All right, I believe in God, and there's a lot of correlations between what we're seeing now and in the Old Testaments and even in the New Testament.
Hmm.
Um, we idolize white society. Here, maybe I think I can speak for foundational Black Americans as
Yeah, it's
as,
true.
as
No, no, no.
we do. Kind
It's
of see
not
it in
just.
Africa, Caribbean as well, but we've made an idol out of white people,
I think it.
and
I
we
think
are
it's even
afraid.
worse in the Caribbean. It's even worse in the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
I mean, worse or worse, it doesn't matter. I think when you're talking about idolizing something, you don't want to fight against it. You want to praise it. You want to uphold it. And so when it comes to not saying no, that's what we're thinking. We don't want to be seen as we this is what we idolize. This is what we want to be. We want to be accepted by this. We want this to accept us. We'll take any kind of abuse to get acceptance,
True.
and that is a sickness. And I have to remind myself when I talk to a lot of people, a lot of my friends, even some of my family,
Hmm.
that I have to be patient, and I have to be sympathize. And it's frustrating, man. It is absolutely frustrating. It
Hmm.
is really frustrating. But I have to be patient. I have to be as loving as I can, and try to be as logical as I can.
Correct.
And and because these are people that are afraid.
Hmm.
They're afraid, and fundamentally, they're afraid.
True.
So,
True. Because boy,
talk
I mean,
happening here, man. Hey, this is real talk. I don't know if you this is what you expected when you have your own, but this
no,
is
no,
real
no, no,
talk,
no,
man.
no. I mean,
Good.
this was all in the making because we did discuss that.
You've been talking. We've been talking back
Even
and forth for a while now, man.
yeah,
So
that we have to discuss some topic, and I'm glad that you're talking it because, as I said, since the pandemic start and the police brutality has rise not only in America because I'm also hearing of issues even in Nigeria where because there's white police there also
yeah,
in Nigeria, and I've been hearing of police brutality and stuff in Nigeria, and I think it's even more a more critical thing in Nigeria because they are shooting down protesters and stuff like that, right? So I'm glad that you come across with these talk because I've never had the chance. Since all these things started, I never had the chance to really talk about it because there was even a lady I was supposed to do an interview with her, and
yeah,
she is also strong on the black community and things what's going on in America and stuff like that. And these are the people I would like to really talk about, because just the fact that me and you we here live talking about these things, this could also send a message, right?
yeah,
This could also
yeah.
send a message because I mean most time you see two black person on live, they don't be talking these kind of
No, man, yeah, they'll be talking about sports, they'll be talking about the NFL, they'll be talking about
stuff
football,
like
they'll be talking
that, right?
about women, they'll be talking about anything else, anything that's not serious. They're gonna be experts on it.
So
But we need to have these discussions. And I'll go even deeper. It's good that a foundational brother like myself, foundational Black American, can talk to a Caribbean brother like yourself, because we need to have these conversations.
yes,
And
we do.
and we need to start. Well, I would love to get myself down there and have a book signing where you're at, or
Yeah,
a book
because
signing, but a book release party or something like that. We can do business together. That's what we need
yeah,
to link up.
yeah, because I have a friend. She is also an author. I think you need to check out her account on Instagram is Sparkle the artist
Yeah,
Richards. Yeah, she is a author novelist. She just released a book. I interviewed her a couple of weeks back and stuff like that. And she self-published, right? She
yeah.
has she has no publisher. She does all her work. And you was talking the same thing about instead of the black authors, instead of going to a publisher, and sometimes these publishers never get your stuff out.
Yes. Yeah.
You can also make the sacrifice. You can also make the sacrifice and do it yourself. Because I know when I speak to her and she told me, the things she went through just to become self-published.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
tough, man. I'm doing it now. I mean, it's a lot more work than you would think. I mean, because you have to be a business owner, you have to be a marketer and promotions, and then you got to worry about the creative side. So those are three things. Those are three hats. Every day I'm trying to juggle those things, and it's a lot. Thankfully, I got my wife helps me out. I have friends that help me out, and kind of when things get a little bit like, wow, this is a lot. Those things they kind of take some burdens off my plate.
yeah, that's
But
good.
I definitely understand that problem. And you mentioned traditional publishers. For me to put out this book, man, The book, War of the Heart, Nakeem Jeffers novel. I'm just doing a shameless plug right now. But I couldn't go to a traditional publisher with this book, with the content in it. I went up before I decided to self-publish. I looked at all the traditional publishers and what they were looking for, and they get, they got their traditional red tape that you have to do to send your manuscripts in and things like that. But they were straight up and down when it came to black authors and black content. They were like, we want LGBT content. We want slave content. And it was offensive for me to read it. And I was like, wait a minute. So if I want to talk about black economics, black love, and talk about straight love, a straight man and a straight woman, this is not gonna be something that you would want to promote. I mean, I was astonished, and that's when I was even talking to my wife. I was telling, and our initial plan was to try to traditionally publish, so I can just be a creator and writer. But after reading through the publishers and noticing that their criteria, what they were looking for, I wasn't down for that agenda. I could have wrote a book like what they wanted, but that's not what I want to promote to my people. So we talked about earlier not going through the filter of the white media. That's why I wanted to talk to you, talk straight to the streets. This is what we're promoting. This is our value system. This is what we want to promote to our people. Not the garbage that they send out, that you can turn on the TV and get. We have to have our own value system. Kind of like what the Asians did with their cinema. They didn't go through Hollywood to make and promote their value system. They created their own, and it took a while for them to get popularity. But now Ip Man's one of the most popular films you can watch on Netflix or whatever. So now Western media, the Europeans and Americans are trying to get into that Chinese market because it's so lucrative. But they took time to build their own media and build their own platform, and they're reaping the benefits of it now. And there's no reason for us as black people why we can't do that.
Well, we have the same advantage because Africa is so big.
Yes.
Africa is so big, right? Africa is not just 52 states or whatever. Africa is big. Africa, I mean, I'm just learning certain places that is in Africa right now that I didn't even know was in Africa. Places that I heard about that is in Africa. And I didn't even know. And I was like, Africa, the biggest continent in the world is Africa. So that is just to tell you, we have the market. We just need to utilize. Right now, my country, where I live here, what are we doing right now in our country is we are creating a diaspora between our country and Africa.
Yes.
In terms of music and all this stuff like that. So you would see me pushing Nigerian music, you would see me pushing Liberian music from Ghana and all this stuff. I try to get these type of people onto my page, my Instagram page and stuff, because I'm trying to pull that diaspora.
Yeah.
African American, Africa, even those from in the UK, I'm trying to pull that. I mean that is one of my plans. I'm trying
and that's smart because you know what, someone from Europe will probably would try to do that and say, well, you got African Americans, you got Caribbeans, you got the blacks in Canada and in the UK. They're in Africa. They want to listen. We need to make a place where they can all listen to music, and we'll get 5 to 10%, and they'll profit off of us again. That's like you were talking about. We the inventors of everything. We do the hard labor, and they always figure out a way to profit off of that, right? and use and we become just another resource for them. But if you're doing what you're doing, and you're able to pull that together, and then they'll be coming to you. They'll be coming to you to advertise, because if you're able to get seats and get people from Africa, from the UK, from Canada, from the United States, and in the Caribbean, and you get that audience there, then they're going to advertise their products there, and you can charge them. You make money off of them. That's the way the game should be played. Like the NBA is predominantly black. You know, that 85% I want to say is are black males in the NBA. You know, there's no reason that we shouldn't own those teams since the talent is
But
majority from us,
but
and we should be profiting off of all that.
I
Those are
think
all resources. Those
I think
players are all resources.
I think Jay-Z was getting into that business.
Oh
But
God, AC,
yeah, but
disappointing.
everybody, black people. I don't know why black people are so scared of Jay-Z. Like they just see Jay-Z as this. He's a sellout. You know, everybody see Jay-Z as a sellout. But Jay-Z working
Mm.
his tactic in a different way because remember, you see, you have to understand this about Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z grew up in an era where he
I'm
looked
very familiar with Jay-Z. I'll just put it this
right,
way. I'll just put
right.
it this way. I have some disagreements with Jay-Z about some of the things he's done, specifically with Colin Kaepernick. You know, if his way works, I will happily admit it, but it doesn't look like it's working. And and maybe Jay-Z's probably fooled me and others before, but some of the things he's done with, you know, the minority partnership that he had with the New Jersey Brooklyn Nets, and they put him out as a front man and things like that. I'm just when Jay-Z comes around, I personally my radar goes up and I start looking, and I look very closely at some of the things he's done. Now it's not to say he doesn't do some great things, but you know I'm very cautious about some of the things when he's presenting things to me. I tend to examine them thoroughly.
I'm gonna say this. I mean, I know you're in the States and stuff like that, right? But
Yes,
well, I'm just gonna tell you from where I'm seeing it because as I said, even though I'm in the Caribbean, I pay close attention to the black community on a whole, right?
yes.
And okay, now check this. Before Jay-Z became a billionaire, right? These people were not interested in Jay-Z, right? It's all about economics, it's all about money. It has nothing to do with the individual, right? They are not they don't care about Jay-Z per se, right? It has nothing to do with Jay-Z himself. They watch money. That is what the white man watch, money. If like okay, like how you have your publishing business now, right?
Yes.
If 5 years from now your publishing company becomes a $1 billion and publishing company because you take in all these black writers and you start to push out this content, black people start to see, they start to, people start to capitalize, hey, this is a black publisher, and they start to, you start to, these writers, you tell them to be open to their heart, to their mind. So the content that they put out is informative, you know, and all these
Yes.
people start buying into your company, and you become a billionaire. What you think gonna happen? These people gonna start coming around you. They won't come around you now, but they're gonna come around you because why? It has nothing to do with um, being black. Money. People is buying your
Absolutely.
products, right?
Yes, they're going to
And
want they're going to want a piece they're going to want a piece of the pie. And that's where I get back to
okay,
what we talked about earlier is
okay,
you got to have an agenda and you have to
okay,
be on code. If you're on
okay,
code, when they start coming around, you know that like for instance, if God blesses me to have my 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 publishing company becomes successful, I'm not going to sell out the core values of my company for anybody because it's bigger than just me getting a couple of dollars or rubbing elbows with some other rich white folks. It's about me competing against them, and it's about my son who just woke up. He's been crying. I saw it to your audience. You know, we got to feed our little baby, but you know, it's about him having something that we help build for him to be able to push our agenda forward and during his lifetime. That's what it's about. Yes, we're in this. Yeah, we all love to make money, but the problem that we come as a group, as a community, we get too wrapped up in, let me go floss now. Let me see how much money I can make so I can get a super yacht and I can be with Bill Gates and be in the same. No, no, no. You know what? That'd be great. That's a great goal, but you need to have something that you can pass down to your children so they can be economically competitive in a very competitive and cutthroat world. That's the agenda. So where I differ with Jay-Z, I think that he's gotten in love with rubbing elbows with Roger Goodell and people that live in that space. And he does say some good things about economics and with money and things like that. But when the whole Colin Kaepernick thing was very, very alarming to me. You should not. That's when you have to make. That's when you have to make those decisions. That's when you have to make the decisions. Okay, is the money worth it?
Well,
is the money worth? Is the money I'm going to make putting in these title artists in a halftime show or getting them exposure? Is it worth selling out what Colin Kaepernick is trying to do and the message, the narrative he's trying to forward? And those are hard decisions. But if you have an agenda and you have an ideology, they're no-brainers. And that's where he got my attention.
Well, I was watching it because I even did a video.
And to be quite honest, to go back to Jay-Z, some of the money that he got from those owners, do you understand that money went to nonprofits that actually were Trump supporters, and they were employing people who had anti-black views.
Really?
So I mean, I don't know if it was him being naive. Part of me wants to believe it's just him being naive and falling for the trick bag. But when you get up there and you're around all that money, you cannot if you don't have an agenda, it's going to inform your decision making.
I'm going to say this, right? You know what I find? Okay, you're making all this money, right? You see, the whole thing about it is these guys is on money. Because, okay, if it is you want to, now you talk about the black community and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And you getting money and you gonna take that money and give it to what? Non-profit organizations, which are white people, so to speak. Why not try to create something for the black community? Why not try to give it a non-profit organization in the black community? Why not try to use that money to try and create some kind of thing for the black businesses? You see, I don't know. Now, all are we not that way? But you see, as I said, is a code. And sometimes, I mean, even out here, I just watch how black people operate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the thing is, when we get a little success, we get around. I keep referring to them as the circle and start rubbing elbows with them.
Right.
They can smell new money, and they know when your nose is wide open, so they can pull those kind of trick bag tactics on you. But if you have a code and you're not willing to give them one more inch than you need to, then they're going to be a little. You know what? They're going to be a little bit more hostile to you. They're not going to want to rub elbows with you.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this.
As a matter of fact, they might be a little afraid of you.
The whole fight is not just. We be fighting ourselves too, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of that we need to do.
We
I
be
hate to say
fighting.
it, but we need to have hard discussions amongst ourselves, and that's part of building agenda is having those discussions, and we're starting to do that here now in America. But we have to define what's acceptable and what is not acceptable, because right now some behavior it's gotten out of control. It's gotten out of control. So you're kind of saying alluding to Jay-Z and why people were getting on him. I think that's a good thing. I think those are healthy conversations to have. Is this behavior acceptable? Is this something if you're looking out for the black community and that's your number one goal, we'll be great. I'll eat crow and Jay-Z, you did the right thing. But if you're just trying to run a finesse for yourself and use the black community to get you a bag, that's not acceptable. And we're not going to accept that anymore. We're going to hold you accountable to that. And we should expect better from you, because a lot of us, me included, I'm part of the generation. We listen to Jay-Z. I've been listening to Jay-Z since I was a teenager. And I've grown my life is if you had a soundtrack of my life, a lot of those songs would be Jay-Z songs. And there's an expectation that comes along with that, and you got to do better. You can't be tap dancing. You got to be straight up and down, especially with Colin Kaepernick. That brother, especially with Colin Kaepernick, you need to be on code.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh boy. I mean, some people said that he was wrong. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with kneeling in an anthem if it represents something that is going on wrong in your country. Because now they're making it a norm,
Yeah,
right? And I don't see something wrong with if something is going on in a country and they're not fixing it, right? And these NFL players who are black decide here what, you know what? This anthem does not represent no justice or no freedom for us. So we cannot stand at that anthem. We will kneel to show the injustice.
yeah.
I
In
mean,
a peaceful protest. In a peaceful protest. It was all about them
I don't
being able to control them.
I
You got
don't
to
see a
understand.
problem.
And what's the I think soccer is the popular what's the popular sport there? I don't know if there's an equivalent to football in any other place. 'Cause, I mean, America is freaking football is an institution. I mean, they own a day. This is Sunday is a freaking it's a football day here in America. And even to a certain extent, Saturdays is with college football. So when they see these black athletes that they pretty much since they were young toddlers or young kids playing teeny bopper football, been indoctrinating. When they see one of them in the most premium position, quarterback in sports, when they see him kneeling when he's been told to stand, that is traumatic to white society.
Yes, we know it's an act of.
It's traumatic. So, because that lets them know that everything on the plantation is not all good. And matter of fact, there are some slaves that are talking about rebelling. They got the spirit of 1811.
Hmm,
So they're going to react viscerally to that, and that's why that has become a flashpoint issue.
hmm.
And thankfully, you had certain players that continue to kneel, and now they're trying. You notice now they don't even show the pregame, they don't even show the national anthem. They're trying to avoid all of that.
Hmm.
They're trying to avoid all of that because even though they're projected as the richest, the strongest, the handsomest, the goodest looking black men in the world, NFL, the most available bachelors, everyone, but they're also the most indoctrinated and most controlled
Hmm.
by rich white folks.
Hmm.
So to see your valued slave, I hate to use that term, but that's what the good analogy is. The most valued buck
Hmm.
kneeling and disrespecting in their mind the flag, or disrespecting. It wasn't even about disrespecting the flag. It's about you're disrespecting me. You're disrespecting me as a dominant figure in this society.
It's that.
That's
That
what their mindset is.
because Donald Trump talked about it. He
Yeah,
said that he said that
get those SOBs out of here.
yeah, 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 yeah. He said that well when he was there now, when he was there, he's gone now. But at the time when that happened, he was like, this guy not only disrespected the flag, he disrespected the flag, he disrespected the people of the country, and he disrespected the country. He said
Yeah,
people like that, you need to get them out of the country. That's what Trump
yeah.
said.
Oh yeah. Is
He
that
said he
that
said
you gotta understand that's a any kind of form of blacks thinking on their own or formulating their own agenda and being steadfast about that agenda, that triggers them. That is a trigger for them. So they'll allow us to have Barack Obama, and I hate to go there, but that's true. They'll allow us to have Barack Obama. They'll allow us to have our little titles. They'll allow us to, have our symbolic victories. But when we start thinking on our own
hmm,
and we start formulating and implementing aggressively our own value system and our own agenda and our own ideology, that causes fear. That causes them to be afraid.
hmm,
And I'm gonna wrap in my company into this. The name of my company is Spirit of 1811 Publishing. There was a slave rebellion here in New Orleans in 1811, and I encourage all of your listeners and viewers to research that. Um, they were afraid after they found out the extent and how sophisticated the slave rebellion. As a matter of fact, the slave rebellion almost was successful. Then the only reason it fell was because of loyal slaves. Go figure. But
hmm,
they were planning to take over New Orleans. A group of 500 to 1,000 slaves organized, and they had sophisticated operation. They stopped couriers leaving the Fort of New Orleans going to Baton Rouge to get backup. They took those couriers and took the messages and took their horses. They were very sophisticated. They had planned it out for months, and they
hmm,
executed their mission.
hmm,
That scared them. It wasn't the mere fact that they picked up pitchforks and they killed a few slave owners. It was the fact that their plans were very well thought out. They were
hmm,
militarily sound.
hmm,
They were petrified.
hmm,
So whenever a Colin Kaepernick comes along and he has something that's very thoughtful and very, he's very staunch and very aggressive about it, and it's logically sound, that is a threat.
huh, hmm, hmm. That's very, very, very.
Oh yeah, and that's why we have to get over this notion that it's going to be kumbaya and that everyone's going to like us. That's not what's going to happen. We need to be worried about being respected more than being liked, and that's when we won't have Trayvon Martin because they'll be too afraid to do another Trayvon Martin because they will be punished. And when your child does something wrong, you know, do you punish them or do you hope that they get better or try to? Sometimes you need to actually punish them. You need to punish your children. Yeah, when you have to let them touch when they touch the stove and they realize it's hot. What they don't touch the stove anymore because they realize they can get burned.
Hmm,
Yeah. But if you can touch the hot stove and you not get burned, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna be touching on it, then you're gonna be leaning all on it. You're not gonna care about it. It's not gonna register that the stove is hot until it burns you. And we've been afraid to punish white supremacy racism as a group because we are more afraid. Like you said, we're content and we're afraid of not being liked or being viewed as aggressive or black militant or a Black Panther or something crazy like that. And all the caricatures that they use to make black people afraid of thinking for themselves and having their own agenda.
Mm. All right. Well, it was nice having this talk with you. It's
Yeah, hopefully we can do it again, man. Y'all, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Thanks for having me on. Here goes my book cover for all of you. Come visit me, man. Come visit my website at www.spiritofo1811publishing.com. Books on sale now, Apple, Google Play, Kobo, Amazon, you name it. You can get it anywhere, even your local bookstores, libraries.
Well, I'm gonna do a post. I'm gonna do a post about the book so you can get it on Amazon and stuff like that.
Yes,
Um,
you can get it on Amazon. All good.
Spirit of 1811 publishing.com.
Yes, sir.
Right, people, so you can go. I think this book's supposed to be an interesting book because I think it will be based on that whole slavery stuff and elements of the black community and stuff like that. So it's about time that we embrace our things, who we are as black
Yeah,
people and stuff
yeah.
like that. So you need to check that book out. So Josiah, Jaystar, thank you for being on the
All
podcast
right,
and
Jay,
stuff.
man. It's good keeping all that kids. Stay in touch, man. We're gonna, like I said, I spend a lot of time in the Caribbean. I love to get together and do something with you. You know, I wanna be the one to extend the olive branch to all my Caribbean brothers and sisters. Because, like I said, I go there all the time, vacation and in work, and they show me and my wife nothing but love, man. I spent some time in Bimini 2 years ago before all this COVID crap. And I mean, it was nothing but love, man. And I love my Caribbean brothers and sisters. You know, that when I go visit, they show me nothing but kindness. And I want to definitely work out there with you guys economically, man. So keep me in your thoughts, man. God bless you, dude, and God bless your viewers. Be one, black first.
Right, thank you. So we'll keep in touch. So let me wrap up because I got some other things to do and stuff like that. So we'll keep in touch and thanks for the interview. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and stuff like that with the viewers and stuff and with me. And we'll see you again.
See you again. God bless, my brother.
Okay. Thank you to all the viewers. We are just listening to Josiah Jaystar. Go check out his book on Amazon. You can check out his website, Spirit of 1811publishing.com. Till then, it's your boy G Blunt, the G Blunt Podcast. I'm out of here.